Hi, my name is Laura Bishop, and I work as a Technology Integration Specialist for Springdale Schools. Thank you for joining today's tutorial, Google Classroom 201. In Google Classroom 101, we got started by setting up a classroom, creating an assignment, turning in work as a student, and then giving that work a quick grade. In today's tutorial, we'll take a look at navigating the classroom, a more in-depth look at the classwork, assignment types, and grading. Some of the grading features we'll look at will include the originality reports, the comment bank, and rubrics. We'll create a discussion board, and all the while, we'll be switching between the student and teacher views. Let's get over to Google Classroom and get started.
Here in the Google Classroom dashboard, you will see cards for each class you are active in, either as a teacher or as a student. So from here, we could click on any of these cards and enter these classrooms. But before we do that, let's take a look at how you can streamline your navigation by getting to features within Classroom or within your Drive with a single click from this dashboard. I'm going to take one of the classes that I'm a student in. I'm going to click it and I'm going to drag it next to one of the classes that I'm acting as a teacher in so that we can compare those. So let's take a look at the More menu first, these three vertical dots. In a teacher's card, I have four options. I can either move the card from here, I can edit it, or I can make a copy of this course, or I can archive the course. In the student's card, I only have two options. I can move it, or I can unenroll myself. Another thing you'll notice on these cards is you have this section that will tell you things that are upcoming, and from here you can access those with a single click. The other thing you'll notice on these cards are the icons at the bottom. And from this teacher's card, the one with the arrow, I can select that and I can go directly to the classwork from here with a single click, or I can go to the folder for this particular class that's created in Drive. And then on the student's card, I have this person icon, and I can go directly to any work that I need to complete for this class with a single click, or I can go directly to the folder. Before we leave this dashboard, I'd also like to direct your attention over here to the More menu in the top right. And from that, you can view the classes, which is the view we're in now. I could go directly to the calendar, and then you will see the classes are sorted into two groups, those that I'm teaching and those that I'm enrolled in as a student. Underneath teaching, you will see a to review option. If you select that, you will see anything needs to be reviewed for any class that you have and anything that has already been reviewed. Back over to the menu. Under those classes that you're enrolled in, this would be the student's view, you will see a to-do list. If you select that, it will tell you in any class that you have, anything that you need to do and anything that you've already done. Then if we go just a little further down in the menu, you will see we have a section called Archive Classes. So this is any class that you've archived. So at the end of the year, say you want to move those classes out, but you still may want to get some materials from that course, that'll allow you to do that. But once you archive a class, it takes it out of the student's view and cleans up your dashboard as well. So if I go here, I can see any classes that I've archived, and I could immediately go back to those. All right, so now I'm back in the dashboard.
For today's tutorial, I'm going to select Google Classroom 201. We've landed in the stream, which is the communication hub. And because we're focusing on grading today, I'm going to hop over to the classwork tab. So here in the classwork tab, I'm going to select create. And from here, we could create a new assignment, quiz assignment, or question, or add some new material. But for time's sake, let's reuse the demo assignment we used in Google Classroom 1 by selecting Reuse Post. And it was called What Causes Tide, so I'm going to select that. And by default down here, you'll notice that it tells you will create new copies for all attachments. So that's selected. And then I'm going to select Reuse. It is loading that now. So here's the assignment, and we're prompted to make any modifications that we might need to. I'm going to change the title. I'm just going to put in demo. I'm going to leave the instructions the way they were. I don't really need to add any more files or attachments for this demonstration. I do want to double check down here on our document that we've attached because I want each student to make sure they have their own copy, and that is selected. I'm going to assign it only to Google Classroom 201. I can assign it to one or all students. I'm going to make sure I just assign this to all. I can give it a point value. I can give it the due date if I wanted. I'm going to make it due date in the future. I can actually give it the time. For organizational purposes, I'm going to keep it in the same topic, science. So a feature we didn't talk about last time is originality reports. So if you would like to check your students' authenticity on their work, you can come select check plagiarism here, and it will tell you that you will get originality reports on 3 assignments per class. So if I'm certain this is one I want to use one of those reports on, I can hit continue here. If you'd like to learn more about this originality reports, there's a learn more here, and it will tell you what all it checks against on the web. Let's close back out of that. So now I've got selected check plagiarism for this particular report. I think I've got everything set like we want it. So I'm going to now, remember I can assign now, schedule it for later, or save it as a draft. But let's just go ahead and assign that. Now I'm going to go act as both of our students. Student can type their answers here, turn in the report. I'm going to jump to the other student, have them do the same thing. Okay, I just returned from both of the students' accounts where I had them turn in just a little bit of work. We can access that assignment through our classwork tab. Here's our assignment, demo what causes tides. From this window, we can tell everybody has turned it in. We have none left as assigned. But we want to take a little closer look at that assignment, so I'm going to select View Assignment. From this Student Work tab, we could return work to all students or select students. We could also email all students or select students from this window. We could assign a grade if we like. With the More menu on each student, we could return individual work. Over here, we can show all of the documents, just those turned in, those still assigned that haven't been turned in, or even documents that have been graded. From here, we could also access the folder for this assignment in Drive. But let's take a look at one of these documents by clicking it. So here in the grading window, I can sort by first name, last name, status. Have they turned it in or is it still assigned? I can also move from one student's document to the next with these arrows. Here are all of your Google Drive editing tools. This tells you you are in the grading window. From here, I can see the history of this document. It'll tell me when it was turned in, when it was assigned. We have originality reports turned on for this assignment, which can be found here, and it tells me that there are 2 flagged passages in this report. So I can pop this report out into a new window, or I can access those flagged passages from right within this window, which is what I'm going to do. Here we are in the originality report for this student. To the right, it will tell me when this originality report will expire. It'll tell me by count how many passages were flagged. It'll tell me by percent how much of this content was flagged. On this particular report, it was 92%. I have a little section right in here that is not flagged. So when I turn on cited or quoted content, you will notice it will highlight that section. Okay. So I can look at web matches here, and I can select here, and it'll take me straight to the source of this text. Or I can also come down here to where it says National Geographic and go directly there, go to that source as well. So that's a little overview of originality reports. Another feature we'd like to look at while we're here in this assignment is the comment bank. Just like in Google Docs, when you highlight text, you'll see the option to add a comment. So let's select that. This comment by selecting comment. Now, the comment is there, but what we're looking at here is adding things to our comment bank. And the way we can do that is by selecting the More option on the comment itself. And down at the bottom, you will see the option to add to comment bank. And I said, yes, that's the way I want to add it. And then when I select comment bank here to the right, you will see that one has been added. Now I have some others in here from where I have been using it previously. So let's go down here and let's say that I want to add another comment. And I know it's a comment that I've used before. So now when I select add comment, I'm going to use the hashtag or the pound sign, and it'll show me all of those comments that I have been using previously. Or if I know there's a word within a comment that I'm looking for that will narrow that search down, I can type that and select from there. So there's the comment bank and how to make comments and a little bit of originality reports. Now, if I'm ready to return the work, I can hit return here. It'll ask me, student will be notified and can check any grade you left. And I'll say, yes, I didn't leave a grade yet because I want them to look at my comments first, and I will return his work. So I've returned that student's work and I want to move to the next student. I can use those arrows. I've got my comment bank, so I can readily add a comment now. This one needs a little more explanation. Comment that quickly. And I can also return this student's work without a grade as well. So let's move to classwork. And let's see what that assignment looks like now when I view it. You'll notice now we have nothing turned in because I've returned both students' work, and so now they're back into the assigned category. All right, let's move back to the classwork tab. I'm going to use the back button. We just used assignments to talk about originality reports in the comment bank. Now I'm going to click into quiz assignment. It's basically the same as assignments, except that when you open up a quiz assignment, you automatically have the opportunity to start a Google form. I'm going to add one that I already have in my Google Drive. Go to my drive. I'm going to search. Once I've located it, I'm going to select it by clicking it. Then I have the option to insert. So here I am in the demo quiz. And over to the right, you'll notice I have this option to toggle on locked mode on Chromebooks. So in managed Chromebooks, what this does is it prevents the students from accessing other tabs or applications while they're taking the quiz. So they can't access it from anything other than their school Chromebook. Another option you have in quiz assignments is grade importing. This will take your grades from your form and put them directly into the gradebook in Google Classroom. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you want to use it, you have to limit each form to one response per user. So that's a quick look at locked mode and grade importing in quiz assignments. I'm going to exit out of that assignment. So here in Create, we have looked at assignment and quiz assignment. Now let's take a look at question. It's a great option if you'd like to create a discussion board. I've already created my question in Google Keep. So I'm going to go to Google Keep and copy that question with a Control-C. Bring it back over and insert it into my question type. Now I have an option. I can leave that as a short answer or a multiple choice. Because this is a discussion board, I'm going to leave it as short answer. I've also created my instructions in Google Keep. I'm going to copy those. Control C again. Bring them back over into the instructions. I think it's nice to give very explicit instructions to leave plenty of space and bullet point those. And I think it's really eye-catching if you use an emoji for those bullet points. So let me show you where I got these emojis. I used a Chrome extension called Emoji Keyboard by Joy Pixels. To use it, you just select the extension. It has a search bar. For my instructions, read the article linked below. I'm going to look for a book. You'll see there's an open book. That really makes me think of reading. So when I select it, it copies it to the clipboard. Then I just insert it by selecting Control V. That extension was Emoji Keyboard by Joy Pixels. You can find it in the Chrome Web Store. Okay, the instruction says to read the article linked below. So let's add an article. I've got a link. I'm going to add that. Keep in mind, I can add anything in a question that I could add in the assignments. A link, file. I can even add a YouTube. If I know the URL, I can paste it here. And if not, I can search for a video without leaving Google Classroom. Here's one. Why healthy sleep is crucial for academic success. I will add that video as well. Now I've got my question set up with the instructions and attachments. Now I just need to decide what class or classes I want to assign it to and what student or students I want to assign it to. Select the point value, select the due date. For organization purposes, I want to put it into a topic. I have two set up so far, science and class resources. I'd like to create a new one, and I can do that from right here within the question. I'm going to call it discussions. And then I have a couple of options here I need to look at. Do I want students to reply to each other? And I have to decide, do I want students to edit their answer? Because this is a discussion board, I'm definitely going to leave them, but students can reply to each other. Then all that's left is to ask the question now or to schedule it for a later date. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. Okay, now we can see the topic has been created and also the new question. Now let's move to our student accounts and see what those look like from the student's perspective. So now we're acting as the first student. So we will select the new question. So here is the question. How does the amount of sleep you get affect learning? The point value, the due date. Here's the instructions. First thing he will do is read the article link below. He can access that link here. Answer the question in the answer box to the right and turn it in. So he knows to look over to the right and type his answer here. Let's just go ahead and have him do that now. Sleep does not affect. The next instruction is to view your classmate's answer, and it tells him it cannot be viewed until you have turned in your work. And it says, please reply to at least one classmate. Okay, so let's turn it in. He's the first student turning it in. So let's take a look at the second student. Here we are viewing the question as a second student. Let's have him turn in an answer. Sleep has no effect. We will turn that in. We'll ask him, are you sure you want to turn it in? You say yes. Because the first student has already turned in his work, now the second student gets the option to see the classmate's answer, and he can reply here, which was our fourth instruction. Please reply to at least one classmate. So let's have him reply. I believe. Okay, there's his reply. And take note here in question that a student also has the option to give a private comment to the teacher as well. Okay, now let's go back to the teacher's view. So back in the teacher's view, let's see what that turned in work looks like. I'm going to go to View Question, expand it a little larger. So we can see 2 students have turned in their work. And we can look at their work here. This student has answered the question and made 1 reply. This student has answered the question but has not replied yet. So let's look at that 1 reply. From here, I can go ahead and give a grade right from this window. And then I can return all the work or just selected students. Let's return their work. And that is how you can create a discussion board using the question feature. I'm going to use a back button, go back to the classwork tab. We're back in the classwork tab. I'm going to close this assignment by selecting the title of the assignment. And you can see we've got 3 topics here. As you add more content into your classroom, these filters will help you navigate more efficiently. Right now, we're viewing all topics. If I were to select class resources, we would see only the content for class resources. I'm going to go back to all topics so that I can see my create button, because there's one more feature in Google Classroom that I would like to show you, and that is rubrics. I'm going to use an assignment to show you that feature. So I'm going to hit create, and I'm going to create a new assignment. I'm going to give it a title, Project Demo Rubric. I'm going to type the instructions here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a Google Doc to it from my drive. And then I'm going to select it and insert it. I'm going to make sure each student gets a copy. I'm going to assign it to all classes, all students. The rubric I'm going to use has a 16-point value, so I'm going to turn that to 16. I'm going to give it a due date. And now I want to add a rubric. So on this plus rubric button, I have a couple of choices. I can do a create rubric, which is from scratch, or I can reuse a rubric I've been using in Google Classroom, or I can import a rubric from Sheets. To show you what a rubric looks like to get started, let's import one from Sheets. It takes me straight to my drive. Here's the rubric I'm interested in. It's called Project Rubric. I select it and add it. Here's our rubric. This rubric has 4 criterion: organization, content, teamwork, and presentation. The criterion will be your rows. Then in the columns, we have 4 different levels. You can create as many criterion and as many levels as you want for a rubric. It has defaulted to no scoring. We want to use scoring, so I'm going to toggle that on. When that occurs, I have a couple of options. I can view these point values in descending order, or I can view those in ascending order. I'm going to select descending. You will see that each of these criterion right now has a value of 4, and I had 4 of those. So my total point value possible is 16. Let's, for example, change this one to 8. And you will see that will be reflected in my overall point value. Okay, I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to go ahead and assign that to the students. Now I want to show you how to create a rubric. So I'm going to go back to assignment. So here in assignment, I'm not going to complete any of these details because we're really just looking at how we create a rubric. So I'm going to come down to the plus rubric button, select create rubric. I'm going to start out by putting my criterion in. The first one's going to be organization. I could give that criterion a description if I wanted. And then I could give that a point value, give it a title. Then I could give a descriptor here. Now, if I get ready to add another level, I can add one with this plus sign. Let's say this one has a value of 8. I can give my title here, descriptor. Each of these has a more menu. From that, I could delete this level if I wanted to. Let's say I decide I want one in between. I could add it there. So that would be my criterion and my levels. Now, I can add another criterion by selecting this button down here at the bottom, or I can use this one as a template, and with the More menu, I can say Duplicate Criterion, and that could be my template for the next one. So that's really briefly how to create a rubric in Google Classroom. From here, let's go to the student view and see what that assignment looks like with a rubric attached. So here I am a student. In the stream, it tells me this teacher has posted a new project with a rubric. And here is the view for the student. Once again, he has his title, point value, some instructions here. And you will notice the rubric is visible right here. So the student knows the expectations right away. Select there to get an expanded view of each criterion and the descriptors. Turn in his work. Let's look from the teacher's view for a quick grading. I can see I have one student turned in. I'm going to look at his document. So I'm back in the grading window. Of course, I can still comment if I want using my comment bank, or you can see the rubric is attached over to the side. So from there, I can assign those grades there and return the work. Before we go, I'd like to show you all the places that you can access a student's grades and work. The one we're familiar with and have been working with today is classwork. Another one is the People tab. From here, I can select a student. I have a filtering system. I can see everything he's turned in, everything that's been returned, anything that's missing. You will notice this is his overall grade. If you're not putting all your grades in classrooms and you don't want that to be visible to a student, I will show you how to turn that off in just a second. The other place that you can access the student's work is in grades. From here, I can see each assignment. I can actually edit or delete from here. I can see the average score for each assignment, and I can see if there's any missing or late work. The final thing I'd like to show you today is in class settings. If we scroll to the bottom of those settings, we'll see grading. We have a few options. We can calculate the overall grade with total points or by category or not at all. You can choose to show the overall grade to the student. And you can also set up grade categories. Once you've made your selections, be sure to hit the Save button. Before we finish up, I'd like to share Springdale's Google Classroom Help and Support Matrix. It can be accessed at bit.ly/GCR-help. Please keep in mind that bit.lys are case sensitive. If you have any questions about today's tutorial or any other technology tools you are implementing in your classroom, please feel free to reach out to me at lbishop@sdel.org. Thank you.